Hi everyone. We are the High Performance Research Computing Center, and today we will be talking about one of our primer, which is called Data Management Practices on HPRC Resources. Uh, I am Tanishq, and I'm a graduate assistant here at HPRC. HPRC falls under the Division of Research, and we have supercomputing resources that helps in accelerating research for Texas A&M people as well as external users. I would like to start by welcoming you all to this primer. We also have HPRC staff and help desk members on the call to help with any issues that you may have that you may face during the course of this primer. So please feel free to put your queries in the chat. Okay, so let's get started. First, I would like to talk about some of our resources. We have the knowledge base. You can access it by going on hprc.tamu.edu/kb. It contains a lot of useful information like quick start, user guides, and other helpful pages. The next is our HPRC website. You can access it by going on hprc.tamu.edu. And lastly, we have our YouTube channel. You can simply search for it, and basically go to Texas A&M HPRC, and you'll be able to see our videos. Okay, so now let's talk about some of our computing resources. So at the moment, we have 4 clusters. They are ACES, FASTER, Grace, and Terra. Just a piece of information that Terra is planned to retire this year. So it's not going to stay for longer, but it's there at the moment. It's just like something to note. So in order to access these clusters, you would need either one of these two options. One of the option is an HPRC account, which is available for Texas A&M students and staff. You can use it to access 3 of our clusters, FASTER, Grace, and Terra. And the second option is to have an access ID, which can give you access on ACES and FASTER, and is available for any external user. So basically, any user can apply for access ID. If you want to know more, if you want to check for more information, you can simply go on our knowledge base. Okay, so let's talk about how to access these clusters. So we can do that using our portal. You can, the first option is you can simply go to our portal URL, which is portal.hprc.tamu.edu on any web browser, and you'll be able to access it. The second option is to go on our website. On our homepage, you can find this option of portal, and in the drop-down menu, you can select the portal that you want to work with. And once you're there on the portal, you can also get the shell access. There are a bunch of information on our portal, but one of them is clusters, and you can access the shell using this option. Just click on clusters, then select Grace shell access, and it'll open an in-browser Linux CLI or a terminal, basically a command line interface, and you can use it to access the cluster. Okay, so let's probably try it. I would encourage everyone who are there on the call to try this exercise. We will try to log into the Grace cluster using the online portal. Also, just a piece of information. If you can access our clusters if you're on Tamu Wi-Fi, but if you're not on our Wi-Fi, then you will have to connect to Tamu VPN before trying to connect to our cluster. So it's very important you are on either one of them to be able to access our cluster. Also, I'll be doing this with you, so maybe you can try with me, and like you face any issues while doing that, you can let us know. I'll be using the second option. I'm going to go to the website first, hprc.tamu.edu. You'll go to portal and select Grace portal. It'll open the Grace portal for you. Click on clusters and then the Grace shell access. So there we go. We have this in browser Linux terminal. It'll ask for your password. Type in your NetID password. And after you're done with the duo push, you should be able to log in. And yes, so you should be able to see something like this if you have if you're successfully logged in. Can you all please try to log into Grace cluster? I'll give you like a couple of minutes to try this. If you face any problems, please let us know in the chat. And if you're able to successfully log into Grace, can you just all put up a thumbs up if you're able to do that? Also, we have the link to the slide deck in the chat box. So you can simply access this using the link provided, and you'll be able to get access to all of these links. So you can actually follow along while I'm also doing it. Can you let me know in the chat box if you're able to successfully log into Grace? Even a thumbs up should do. So okay. I think, yeah, so I'll probably move forward. If you face any problems, then you can put it in the chat and we'll probably look into it. I'll move forward. Okay, so while dealing with any data, a good data practice is a must. So this is one such rule that we really would encourage everyone to follow. One is none and two is one. So it's very important to keep multiple copies of your important data. Files that may take really, really long to get created and are very important. You should always uh, keep a copy of it. You can also keep a copy in your personal laptop or computers. And if, just in case anything happens, you'll always have an extra copy of it and your work will not get affected. So always back up as much as possible. Okay, now we'll go over the file systems and user directories. So it's important to understand how the directory structure works inside our clusters. We have two directories. First is your home directory. It's limited to 10 gigs of storage and about 10K file by default. Uh, and it is meant for small to modest amounts of processing and not large files. And the second one is Scratch directory, which on the other hand has a storage of 1 terabytes and a file limit of 250K. This is more of a temporary storage for large files. Let's assume if you want to clone something from GitHub or use any such application, then you'd probably want to do it here because of a greater file limit. Another point to note is that it is not intended to be a long-term storage area. So it's a temporary storage area. And Scratch is also shared between faster and Grace clusters. So everything that's there on your faster Scratch will also be there on your Grace Scratch. And so since there's a limit on the storage, it's always a good idea to keep a check on your file and quota storage. You can use the command show quota. Simply log into the shell and type this command, and it will display the usage and expiration date of your quota. And last thing here is to make sure that you are not sharing your home or scratch directories with anyone. If you want to share files among yourselves, you can request a group directory for that purpose. You can also go to this particular link in order to know more about our file systems. All right, so let's check our dashboard for a second. So I just mentioned that we have a limit on the quota and file number of files that you can have. So in order to request quota or new file limit, you can go to our portal and access our dashboard. Just have to go navigate to the dashboard, select Grace dashboard, and it will open a window like this, which will give you your quota for home and scratch. And there's an option of request quota increase. If you'll click on it, it'll open a form, something like this. It has been updated now, but it's pretty much like it'll just ask you for your new scratch quota, your new file limit, and a justification of why you would want to increase your quota size. Once you submit this request, we'll be able to handle the request depending on how important it is. If you have any problem requesting quota, you can always email us at help@hprc.tabo.edu. And we'll be able to answer your query regarding that. Okay, so let's try this. Let's try to check our quotas because it's very important. There are two ways you can check your quotas. The first one is to navigate to the dashboard and see your quotas. And the second is to actually run the show quota command in a shell. So I'll be doing both these things. You can try on your end. And I would really encourage everyone to do this. So let's first try to check out the dashboard. This was the portal, right? This was our Grace portal. In order to go to our dashboard, just click on dashboard, Grace dashboard, and it will open the dashboard here. This is something that has been developed by us, and it contains all the information about your accounts, your disk quotas, jobs, if you have any group membership, all of that. So I believe you will see a window like this. This is the option that I was talking about. And also this basically shows the quota, like current quota usage of your account. There's a chance that you will not have this group disk on your end. It may or may not be there. It's fine if it is not. It's just that group directory that I was talking about. So it's just an additional disk here in my case. And if you want to request new quota, you can simply click on this button and fill the form. You can check the disk quotas through shell as well. So I'm logged in. The moment you get logged into shell, the disk quota gets displayed by default. But let's say you're just working on something and you want to check out your quota, you can simply type show quota and press enter, and it'll show you the exact same information. So if you're able to try this exercise, then can you just tell me in the chat box? Let me know if you face any problems or anything. I'm going to wait for 1 minute and then I'll move on. Okay, so I hope you all were able to see your quotas. If you have any problem, you can reach out and we'll be able to help. I'll move forward. Okay, so let's talk about some of the command line tools. Uh, okay, so the first one, these are basically the command line tools that you can use to transfer your data. First, transfer or copy your data. So CP is used for copying, RM is used to remove, SCP is a secure copy command, and SFTP is secure file transfer, and TAR is used for archiving. We'll be looking at each of this in detail. So the first one we'll be talking about is copy. So it's as easy as it sounds. It just makes a copy of a file. If you want to copy a file onto the same machine, so that's the catch. Copy can makes a replication of the file on the same machine. So you just have to type in cp space the name of the source file space the name of the destination or the new file, and it will copy the content of source file to the new file. And in order to move data, we between machines we use SCP or SFTP, but that we'll discuss in a moment. Copy simply is used for copying over on the same machine. Next is remove. It deletes a file. So you just have to type in rm space the name of the file. Also, a warning, there is no trash bin on the command line. So you should uh, you should be sure that you want to really delete a file and only then use this. So make sure, because if you are not sure, you won't be able to recover the file once it gets deleted. So just make sure that's there. In order to help you with that, you can probably use this flag -I, and it'll prompt you before the file gets deleted. So it's probably a good idea to do that. If you want to delete a directory, usually you can use a flag called -RF. We'll be looking at that. But in that, you just have to basically you type in RM space -RF. RF is basically used to delete everything, like the entire directory. It will not prompt you, it will just delete that. So that's one. So, okay, let's try this. Let's try this in an exercise. What we're going to do is we are going to create a test directory first and make a file inside it. Then we'll copy that file and then eventually remove one of the copy. So it's pretty easy. Let's try how we can do this. I will be using the shell, the gray shell here. You can also try the same thing as I'm doing it on my end. And please let me know if you face any problems. So for the purpose of this primer, I have this folder that I created called data primer. I'm just gonna change my directory and go inside that folder. So I'll be using cd, change directory command, and I will type in data primer. On your end, if you want to create a directory, what you can do is you can use mkdir, which is make directory, and space and type in the name of your folder, let's say temp. And if you will list your contents, it will create that directory for you. And then you can go inside the directory using cd. I'll go inside data primer. So it has, I have created 3 files. You will probably not have anything. You can create a file using 2 options. You can use touch and the name of the file, which will create it for you. It will create basically an empty file for you. If you want to create a file and also be able to edit it, you can use the nano editor, uh, which is nano space. I'm going to use a.text. I've already created it, so it'll open the file if it's already created. If you do not have one, it'll create a file and then open it. It'll change to an interface like that, and here you can edit the file. Uh, I'm just going to put some content here. In order to save this, you have to press Control O and enter. And in order to exit this, just press Control X and you'll be able to go out of that editor. Now you're back in Linux CLI. So what I want to do is I want to create a copy of a.txt into another file. So I'll be using the command cp, the name of the source file, which is a.txt, and the name of the destination file, let's just call it a_copy.txt, and enter. It doesn't show anything, but if you list contents, we have a copy.txt. If you want to check contents of a copy, or you can use the command cat, which is basically used to display the contents of any file on Linux. So you just put cat space, the name of the file. And it has the exact same content as a.txt. It has been copied. If you face any problems doing this exercise, please let us know. Otherwise, I'll continue. The last part of this exercise is to remove one of the files. So let's try to just remove a copy.txt. Right now we have these a copy.txt and a.txt. I will simply remove a copy.txt. I'll use rm space a copy.txt. Now, if I list contents, we do not have it anymore. So it's pretty easy to use. Let me know if you're able to complete this exercise. I really would encourage everyone so that you can try it on your end. These are like really easy exercises, but it'll make you familiar with our clusters. So please try it on your end. If you're trying it, or if you're already done with it, can you give me a thumbs up so that I get some idea? Okay, so I'm assuming that you're able to complete this exercise successfully. If that's not the case, you can let us know and I can explain it again. I'll move forward. Okay, so let's talk about how to archive a file. So if you have to transfer more than one file, it's better to consolidate all of them in a single directory, change it, convert it into a single file and then transfer it. It's much better. And for that purpose, we can use the command tar. Tar is used to archive file, and it is used with a lot of flags basically. So you can actually use CF to create that archive, XF to extract that archive, and V is just a flag if you want to get a verbose version of it, and Z to compress it with gzip. So these are the flags, and this is what we are going to use. So let's say first you have a set of files, you have it inside a directory. You want to convert it into an archive file. You can simply use tar space -cvf, the name of the tar file and the name of the source directory. In order to compress it, you can add the flag Z to it, and then it will get converted into a gzip file. And let's say on the destination, you can extract it simply by using xvf. So just replace C with X and it should extract that archive for you. We have an exercise again on this. What we're going to do here is we'll create more than one copy of the test file and we'll condense them all in one object or one single file, archive it basically, and then extract them back out and check that if their contents are the same. So It'll be fun to do. Let's try it. Uh, okay, I'm just gonna clear it. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna create a folder here. So let's create a directory using mkdir. I'll call it temp, let's say, and we see it here, right? I'll go inside temp using cd. If you have any problem doing any of this, please let me know. I'll demonstrate how we can do this. Okay, so we are inside temp. We do not have anything inside temp right now. I will create one file, or let's say with a dot text only. Can't think of a better name. I will just put some content. In order to save it, Control O, enter, and in order to exit it, just press Control X. So we have a dot text here now. I just want to make a few copies of this file. So I'll use cp a.text, which is my source file, and let's make b.text. We can use the same command and create more copies. If you list contents, it'll have 4 copies here with the exact same content. Now I would want to archive this folder, the temp folder. So right now I'm inside temp folder. In order to do that, I need to go one step back. And I hope you guys remember the way to go a step back in the directory structure is to use cd space dot dot, enter. And that's how you will, so now we are in data primer. You'll do ls, we have our folder here. Now I want to archive it. The command to archive is star space hyphen cvf create archive space name of our archive, let's say temp archive dot tar space the name of the source directory, which is temp, and it will tell you what all has been archived, the directory itself and all the files within it. If you'll do an ls now, you see it here is the archive folder. Now the next part of exercise is to extract them back out. So just to like go back to the temp folder. In order to do that, let's try to first remove this temp folder from here and then we'll extract it again. So I have told you that to remove a folder, you need to use a flag in addition to the rm. So like you'll put rm command and then use a flag with it, which is called -rf. And I'll put the name of the directory. I just want to delete this directory. So, and I'm sure about it. So I can just click enter. If I'll do an ls, the temp directory is not there anymore. Now we can simply extract it using the command tar space hyphen c will get replaced by xpf to extract it, and the name of the archived folder. Enter. It'll again give you everything that has been extracted. If you'll do an ls, the temp comes here again. So it's a very easy exercise to understand how archiving works within Linux. I'll wait for maybe like a minute. If you are doing it with me, you can probably finish it and then we'll move forward. Yes, Trenton. So it basically consolidates the file. That's the command you use for that. Yes. All right. So I'll probably move forward with our presentation. Again, if you have any doubts, you can also unmute yourself and ask me that, or you can put it in the chat, whatever works for you. I'll move forward. Okay, so now let's talk about the data transfer on our clusters. So as you might be aware, we have login nodes. So the moment you log into our shell, the node that you see, Grace 1, Grace 2, etc., are login nodes that are available. And usually the internet connection is not that great on those nodes. And the process time limit is about 60 minutes for a data transfer. So that's the case with login nodes because a lot of computation is also happening on those nodes. While we have dedicated nodes called file transfer nodes for all of our clusters, which has a high bandwidth internet connection, and the time limit to process data transfer is almost negligible. So you can figure out which node is a better option to transfer any type of data. And there are a lot of tools that you can use to transfer data. Some of the command line tools are SCP, SFTP, and rsync. We'll be going over them in a moment, but that's what you can use. Let's talk about the specific data transfer, excuse me, on Grace. So Grace DTN is what it's called. Grace has two nodes dedicated to data transfer. You can directly SSH to either of these DTN nodes. So let's say if you're on a login node, you can simply type in SSH space your net ID at the rate. Instead of just grace.hprc.tamu.edu, just put in grace hyphen dtn1.hprc.tamu.edu. And there are two of these nodes available. You can use either one of them. So the main advantage of data transfer nodes are that they can process large transfers quite efficiently because these nodes have 40 gigabit capability. While login nodes has just 10 gigabits, so it's 4 times faster. And that's because there is no programming environment installed on these nodes, and that kind of help when you're just and they're basically they are created only for the data transfer. Also, these nodes have access to all of Grace file system, so you can access your home and scratch directories from these nodes. Okay, so next is Terra FTN. It's pretty much similar to Grace. It offers the same advantages. In order to access Terra FTN, you just have to SSH to Terra-FTN. That's the name of the node. And in case of faster NACEs, we have two data transfer nodes in this case. One of which is dedicated to access users. So as you know that if you have an access ID, you can have access to both faster and ACEs. So one of the data transfer node is dedicated to access users. And second thing is that you cannot directly SSH to a data transfer node on ACEs. So that's not possible here. We will that can be accessed through Globus, and that's actually something that we really encourage everyone to use. We'll be going over it in some during the course of this primer, so we'll talk more about it. You can also go to these links to know more about the data transfer nodes or of faster than ACEs specifically. Okay, let's talk about some of the command line tools as we were discussing. First one is Secure File Transfer Protocol, or SFTP. So it is basically an interactive mode that you can use. You can simply type in SFTP if you are on a terminal, or if you are on our clusters. You can simply type in SFTP space the name of the your net ID @ grace.tamu.edu, and it will open another interactive mode for you. Once you're successfully connected and logged in, you can use these commands to perform the data transfer. So you can change the directory, you can use get command to download file, put to upload file, and if you just want to quit the SFTP uh, terminal, you can simply type in by. So we do not recommend this for large file transfers because SFTP transfers involve sending entire files regardless of whether it has changed since last time, and as it is less efficient. So that's why we do not recommend it for large transfers. Next command line tool is SCP. SCP is a secure version of copy. So CP used to just transfer file within the same machine. SCP can transfer file between hosts on a network. So you can transfer file from, let's say, Terra to Faster. You can transfer file from your local computer to Grace, or you can do vice versa as well. So let's say if you want to transfer from local to remote, you can simply type in SCP, the name of your source file, basically your local file, space, net ID, @ the node, basically. Let's say if you want to transfer it to Grace, you'll put grace.hprc.tamu.edu, colon, name of the home directory. That will allow you to transfer that file. And the last command line tool here is rsync. So it's called remote synchronize. It's pretty much similar to SCP. The command is also very similar. It copies files between hosts. So it does exactly the same thing. It copies file between two remote machines. You can copy a file from local to remote or vice versa. The syntax is also pretty much same. rsync, the name of your source file, space, and the entire host address along with the home directory. rsync can perform intermittent transfers as well. So basically, if you want to perform any partial transfers, or you want to resume an interrupted transfer, all of that is possible with rsync, and it's quite reliable and much more efficient than SFTP or SCP. So let's try this exercise. We've discussed a lot about it. So let's try to, oh, there should be a G here. So either SSH to Grace DTN1 or Grace DTN2 from the login node. And then we'll be using rsync to copy a file to Terra FTN. And then we'll verify if the file, has been transferred successfully or not. If you've never done this, I would really encourage you to do this. It will help you get familiar with these command line tools. Also, as I've told you before, that Terra is going to retire this year. So if you have any data that's there on Terra currently, it's probably a good idea to take all the important data from there and put it on other clusters or your local machine. So just please make a note of that. So I'm in Grace right now. I have this archive file that I created in the last exercise. So I'll probably just try to transfer this to Terra. I'll also actually log into Terra. If any part of this exercise is not clear to you, please ask us. We'll help you with that. So I'll try to transfer this. Now that I'm in Terra, you can see that I do not have any such file here right now. I'm in the home directory. You can check it using pwd. It's my home directory. I'll come here and I'll first of all try to SSH to the data transfer node of Grace. So SSH space my net ID @ Grace. You can use either DTN1 or DTN2, it doesn't matter. And that's it. I'm on DTN1 now. You will see the exact same file structure here as well. Now, let's try to go inside data primer, and we have this star file. Let's use rsync to transfer this file. I want to transfer this temp archive. That's the name of my source file. Space. I need to provide the entire host address. So that will be my net ID @terra.hprc.tamu.edu colon the address of my home directory, which is /home/my net ID again. It'll ask for my password. Okay, so it doesn't show anything here, but we can probably come to Terra and see if we have that. And yes, we do have it here. If you want to check the files are same, you can also extract it using the tar command we saw before. And yes, we have it. We have the temp folder here with all the files. I hope it was understandable for everyone. If you have any doubts, please let me know. I would probably like to go forward. In case you're trying it or if you face any issues, please let us know. We'll probably look into it again. But since we are running out of time, I'll probably go ahead. Okay, so now we'll talk about some of the GUI clients that you can use for your file transfer. We have HPRC portal, or it's called Open On Demand portal. You can use MOBA Exterm, WinSCP, CyberDuck, and also Globus Connect. So these are the options that are available to us. So the first one is HPRC portal, and it is highly encouraged. We highly encourage everyone to use this because it's our in-house portal and we've designed it. So it's most likely the best option to use it. If you want to access your files through this, you can simply go to the portal, and inside the portal, there is an option of files. Both home and scratch directory will be available to you through this option. And once you're inside one of the directory, let's say home directory, you can see all of the files that you can access through shell. It's more interactive. You can view the file, edit it, download, copy, rename. It's pretty handy and nice. So you can use this. The next one is a MOBA Exterm, which is only available on Windows machines. It's also highly useful if you want to access our clusters directly. In this application can also be used to, transfer files. It is very helpful because of this SFTP side panel. You can download and upload files with just few clicks using the CLI, and also you can drag and drop folders from your local machine directly to this SFTP panel. So it's very good. Next is WinSCP. It's again available on Windows machines. You can simply connect it using the SFTP protocol, type in the host name and your net ID and password, and you'll be able to connect to our cluster and check all the file directories. A similar option is CyberDuck. This is available for both Windows and Mac OS. Again, you can just connect it using SFTP, and it also allows for file transfers. Okay, so the last GUI client that I want to talk about is Globus. Globus is a web-based application. You can also download it on your local machine. It is very useful and we highly recommend it because Pastor and Aces do not really allow command line tools. You cannot like directly use those command line tools to access the data transfer node of faster and aces. So it's better to use an application like Globus for that purpose. So we really encourage using it. Uh, there are many endpoints that are available that you can use on Globus. For Grace, we have Grace hyphen DTN1, DTN2, Terra FTN, Faster has Tamu Faster DTN1, and also through Access, and ACES has just Access Tamu ACES DTN. So these are the endpoints that are available that you can use for file transfer. And now we'll just check out this last exercise on how to transfer data using Globus. If you are using Globus for the first time, it might ask you to log in to register as a new user, and you can do that. It's pretty easy. You just have to select an you know sign in through an existing organization, select Texas A&M, and you'll be able to log in. It's pretty easy. It's just gonna use your net ID and password. So this is how globus.org looks like. So what we are going to do is we are going to create a test file on our home directory on, let's say, Grace, and then we'll try to transfer that file to Faster using Globus. Okay. And how do we do that? First of all, I just want to check if I have a file in my home directory. Yeah, I do have one. And this is my home directory. I can just verify it using pwd. So in my home directory, I have a.txt. I would just like to transfer this to Faster. So I'll come here. You need to go inside collections and just uncheck this recently used filter. Type in Tamu. There's a lot of options that you'll see. So I'll probably try to also type in Grace. So there's Grace DTN here. Also, one thing to note that we have a collection called Grace DTN with a capital G as well. So that's not the one we'll be using. It's a personal endpoint. The one with all small caps is the idle one managed by us. So use Tamu space Grace DTN and click on Open in File Manager. As you can see on the left side, my entire home directory, Grace home directory, is here. I can see that file as well. It's really nice to use. And I want to transfer it to Faster. So on the right hand side, I'll click on search. And I will again search for Tamu Faster. Tamu Faster DTN1. And this is my Faster home directory. We do not have a.txt here. So let's come back to Grace, select this file and click on Start. And yes, it says transfer request submitted successfully. If you'll come here and refresh it, there we go. We have a.txt here. If you want to check the status of your, this was most likely an empty file, so it did not take longer to transfer it. But if you are transferring larger files, then you might want to come to the activity section and check the status of your transfer. So it's completed in my case. It may take some time if the file is larger for you. Okay. So yes, that's how you will transfer files. It's pretty easy and convenient, and we really encourage everyone to use Globus. I hope everyone was able to transfer the file. We are left with 5 minutes. So I'm just going to go forward. If you have any problem doing this, please let me know. We'll discuss more on that. Okay, so as a final note, let's talk about the data classification tool. This is a tool which is available to us in order to determine the appropriate classification of data. So, it is important to know the kind of data you're dealing with and the sensitivity associated to it, also the impact of potential loss. Okay. So, in order to understand all of that, you can go to this particular tool and you can refer this link and get more information on this tool just to understand the data that you're dealing with. As a note, if you want to, this is not the end. So if you want to just continue, knowing more about HPRC and HPRC resources and how to get started with our resources, you can go to the video tutorial series that is available on our YouTube channel and also the knowledge base. It has tons of information about almost everything and it's super helpful. If that doesn't solve your problem, you can check out the FAQ uh, knowledge base again. And if you can also email us at help@hprc.tamu.edu with any query or problems that you might have. It'll be really helpful if you can provide these information along with your email. So which cluster you're using, what's your username, your net ID basically, the job IDs if that's the problem, or like if you are facing any issues with that, location of your job file, application being used, modules being used, error messages, and the steps you've taken. So, we can try the same on our end to figure out and debug your problem. And yes, that's it. Thank you so much for joining. If you have any questions, I'm open and we can probably look into that in more detail.